The FIFA World Cup is live on Sky Sport.
Oh, what a goal!
See every game of football's ultimate showcase.
Glorious!
You need to subscribe to Sky Starter and Sky Sport to watch this premium content. For details, see sky.co.nz. Welcome to Football FIFA with Jason Pine. Powered by News Talk ZB and Sky Sport, the home of the FIFA World Cup. All 64 matches live.
Welcome into Football Fever, your usually daily football podcast around World Cup matters in association with our friends at Sky Sport. I'm Jason Pine with David Choate alongside for a preview pod today with 4 quarterfinals to look forward to over the weekend. Croatia, Brazil, Netherlands, Argentina, Morocco, Portugal and England, France. 4 mouth-watering games. Let's go through them chronologically, shall we? Choate, starting with the 4 o'clock game tomorrow morning on Sky Sport. Croatia against Brazil. Every part of me says Brazil. But Croatia remind me a little bit of the villain at the end of a movie who you think is dead and then turns up again and isn't quite dead. What do you expect to play out in this one?
First off, Piney, I missed you yesterday. I woke up and I thought, I haven't seen Piney today. It's very sad, but nice to see you. Yeah, a bit like you, I every sort of part of me thinks Brazil win this one. And the Croatians, who I've said are good, I might have even said they're quite good, I might have even said they're very good. They will not be easy. They'll be a hard side to roll over. They've just been the same every match. They just turned up and ground their way to results. So you can't rule them out, but surely Brazil have too much firepower for them. So I'll stay strongly in the Brazil camp. But this is quarter-final football. Look for any one of these games to go long and late. Look for penalties. I mean, the closer you get to the end of the tournament, there's more on the line to lose. I think most teams start going into their shell a bit. I'm not sure Brazil will go into their shell, and Croatia, well, they just know how to stay in matches. So it's a fascinating first-up match.
It really is. And I look at Croatia and I think it would be a big upset if they did manage to get past Brazil. But then you look back and you think they just somehow, as I said before, seem to stay alive. It looks as though they're out on their feet. Luka Modric coming off the other day looked like he'd aged about 15 years and he's in his late 30s anyway. But they are a team that sometimes and more often than not finds a way. But unlike you, Brazil should have too much in the front third, shouldn't they? Yeah,
and you talk about Modric. I mean, he's their little magician. He's such quality. He probably hasn't ruled this tournament like he may have. Is he the kind of guy who can have a day that just mesmerises? But I've still got to say that it's Brazil's to lose, Croatia's to win, and I think Brazil have too many guns, don't they?
I tend to agree. I think we can both say, I see you've got your green highlighted through Brazil. I'll go with Brazil as well in the early game tomorrow morning, which leads us into the 8 o'clock game, the breakfast time game, if you like, which should be an absolute cracker between the Netherlands and Argentina. These two, of course, aren't unfamiliar with one another at World Cups, and something spicy always seems to happen. Argentina, I think we started to see the best of Messi against Australia. The Netherlands, I think, were pretty hard to like in pool play, but then in their round of 16 match against the United States, they started to show something. I'm not sure who's going to win this game. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Well, I think Argentina are going to win it. I think. They're junkyard dogs. What I mean by that is they don't back down. They'll bite. They'll bark. They'll charge around the place, and they'll make it very difficult for a Netherlands side who have looked good enough without ever sort of hitting greatness. Gakpo, Memphis Depay up front. That is a handful. So you'll have to watch them. Argentina, Messi makes them tick. They have other threats in their side, but I just think they're so passionate, the Argentinians. I think their passion might just almost out-passion the Dutch. But again, you'll look at my green highlighter and it started to sneak over towards the Netherlands, which says to me extra time, says to me very tight. I don't think this will be a free-flowing affair. I mean, an early goal changes everything. But I think this goes long and late, and I think Argentina squeak home.
Yeah, it feels like a cagey one to me as well. Louis van Gaal, I'm not sure if you saw the footage of the Netherlands team arriving back at their base after the win over the United States in the round of 16. They were greeted by all of the staff there, and Louis van Gaal was doing a bit of a dance. It was like a dad at a wedding.
Yeah, actually, there's a bit of a side story to this one. I don't know if you saw this one. Di Maria had a bit of a crack at Van Gaal, saying he's the worst coach he's ever had. I don't reckon you want to say that before a match. I mean, it just gives ammunition to the other team. You can see that pasted up on a wallboard somewhere, and players going, well, if we're the worst coach side, it'll be interesting to see how you go. Di Maria's probably not going to start. I thought it was a pretty average call from a substitute player who spent 1 year at Manchester United and never really hit any great heights. Perhaps he was the worst player to play at Man United, as opposed to Van Gaal being the worst coach that's ever been at Man United. So there's all sorts of side stories going on. I think that Argentina will bite and bark their way to a win.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I tend to think, as you say, this goes long, and we could be into close to lunchtime by the time this one is finally finished. But an 8 o'clock kickoff tomorrow morning, Saturday, the Netherlands against Argentina.
Football fever.
Ahead to Sunday, and two more mouthwatering quarterfinals to look forward to. Morocco are the odd team out in this final eight. We talked about the cream rising to the top, and we fully expected Spain to be part of the quarterfinal picture. They're not, because Morocco beat them on penalties. They're up against a Portuguese side who took the Swiss to the cleaners the other day, even with Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench and coming on for the last 20 minutes. First of all, on that, surely Ronaldo won't start. They won't make a change, will they, if you've won 6-1?
Unless FIFA are stepping in to make it happen for him. Bit facetious. Look, I don't think he is a starting player. Manchester United don't see him as a starting player. I'm not sure Portugal do. And there's sort of been a bit of a sideshow going on, whether that's the media beat up or not, because I've seen two sides of that coin. Ronaldo saying that this is very much a team United with one thing on their mind. He's just got that moodiness about him as he walked off on his own while the rest of the team celebrated. The cameras are always on him, so you get that resting face that looks a bit arrogant. There's something going on there. But I'd be surprised if he started. But I wouldn't be surprised if he got amongst the headlines one way or another by the end of this one. Morocco now are a romantic favourite for people, I think, to see an African side go through to a semi-final for the first time in history of the World Cup. That would be a romantic play. But they've got to be both tired, exhausted and boxing a little bit above their weight, don't they?
Well, I think so. But then you look at their World Cup. They drew 0-0 with Croatia. They beat Belgium 2-0. They beat Canada 2-1, and Canada's goal was an own goal. Then they lasted 120 minutes against Spain, who had over 1,000 passes, and got through to 0-0 at the end of that, and then scored 3 penalties to Spain's none. I kind of feel like they have to be a chance, at least a chance. I mean, because they're so organised. And also, a team that battles to 0-0 draws, sometimes you can think, oh, well, they're a bit boring and they're a bit hard to like. I quite like Morocco. My love for them has developed throughout this tournament.
Yeah, they're miserly in defence, there's no doubt about that. Look, they played a Belgium side that was ageing and waning, weren't they? They were going off the other side. So I think that result probably looks like a bit of an anomaly. They ground their way to other results. They're hard to score against. But you're just playing a side that just went out and whacked 5 and produced a couple of stars in doing so. And, I mean, even the likes of the last goal of that round, Leao. Imagine bringing off the bench someone like Leao who does a step over on the edge there and then puts it in the top corner and then walks over to the corner and celebrates. I mean, they're not short on attacking talent, the Portuguese. But the one thing that you've pointed to, I think Morocco could get under the skin of Portugal. And Portugal are that side that become a bit flappy, a bit frazzled, a bit sort of niggly, and get up your nose, Pioneer. I know that. So maybe that's the best way forward for Morocco, is just to hang around and annoy them and niggle and try and put them off their game. But Portugal would be strongly favoured, and I've got my green marker all the way through Portugal.
Let's go to the final quarterfinal of the weekend, and it is one I think that a lot of people on this side of the world and around the world are looking forward to, as England come up against France. Everything I've read and listened to in the lead up to this talks about how England can stop France, how England can stop, in particular, Kylian Mbappe. Any chance England actually go out and try and win this game?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was doing something online, one of those things where you pick your best side of both teams. there were plenty of English players in your best side. When you put those two sides together and you say, who would you have? I mean, Mbappe is the standout at sort of X factor player of the two sides. But you go Giroud, Kane. You tell me. I mean, who would you rather have, Giroud, Kane?
I'd take Kane.
Yeah, well, exactly. Then you go Griezmann, and you go one of these young guys wide. You go Foden, Rashford, Saka. You tell me. I don't know. It's really tightly balanced. This is the hardest of them to pick. I had them before the tournament, England going out in the quarterfinal to France. I've sort of stayed there, but the longer and closer I've got to the game, the more my green highlighter has edged its way across both names. So again, this one is so hard to pick. This is probably the toughest one of the lot. England are coming together nicely at a good time. There's a question mark for me about how they go when they're under the pump. I think they will have times of being under the pump, but I wouldn't discount them to be pretty good in a rearguard action. So, look, I think this is too tight to pick.
I actually agree. I thought that France would win this easy, but then I've listened to you and I've listened to, as I say, quite a bit of rhetoric around this game, and I look at the England side, and you're right. If you look through it and you say, okay, well, if you're picking a team from the two, then Jude Bellingham's probably in that team. Absolutely. Jordan Pickford is probably a little more solid than sometimes erratic Hugo Lloris. So, yeah, look, I find it hard to pick. If I had to, I would still pick France. What about you?
Yeah, look, if you're forced to go one way or the other, I go France, and I stay with my pre-tournament pick that they go out in the quarterfinals. England, but they've definitely been better than I thought they would be. And I'm now looking at those youngsters, and I'm talking about sort of in the front half of the field. I think they have more options in the front half of the field than perhaps the French. If they stop Mbappe, they go a long way to winning the match. But can they stop Mbappe? That's a job probably for Kyle Walker. But I reckon he's up for the task.
Absolutely up for the task, as will all these England fans be, as will all these French fans be. So just recapping the quarterfinal lineup on Sky Sport tomorrow morning 4 a.m, Croatia, Brazil, followed by the Netherlands up against Argentina at 8. Sunday morning at 4 a.m, Morocco, Portugal, and then 8 a.m. Sunday morning, England against France. It's hard to imagine a better quarterfinal lineup than that, with so many different storylines. Great to see you, Chody. We'll watch these first two quarterfinals tomorrow morning, and then reconvene after that, shall we?
Yeah, we'll unpack it. 5 European nations, 2 South American nations, 1 African nation. Go Africa.
The FIFA World Cup is live on Sky Sport.
Oh, what a goal!
See every game of football's ultimate showcase.
Glorious!
You need to subscribe to Sky Starter and Sky Sport to watch this premium content. For details, see sky.co.nz.